Today we're going to do a new project, and it's going to be my Christmas Santa. And I originally did it on a round porcelain disc from Hobby Lobby. That's the front. That's the back. And then I also did it on a bell porcelain ornament from Hobby Lobby. I had to reduce it a little bit for this one. I did the back as well. Today I'm going to do it on a piece of masonite board. It's a little bit different shape. I thought I'd try it out on a new shape. And to prep this surface, we want to just put a coat of sealer on it. You could mix the sealer in with your first coat of paint if you want to, which I think I might just do that. That's kind of helps you skip a step. You don't have to do the sealer and then 2 coats of paint. You can do the sealer in with the first coat of paint and then do your second coat of paint. So we're going to base this with winter blue. And I'm just mixing this in my brush on the palette. We're going to do the front, the sides, and the back, all with winter blue. 2 coats. Then we're going to get that dry in between coats. Do your sides. And just get it completely dry. Alright, I've got both coats on each side and on the edges. And I wanted to give you a tip for when you put on your second coat. I add some water to my paint and thin it down, because your second coat, you do not need to try and put it on near as thick as your first coat. You're just trying to fill in any gaps that didn't get covered with the base coat. So if you do that, then you're going to get a little bit smoother finish on your piece. Now I'm just going to take a little sanding pad. I'm just going to lightly, very lightly, I'm not using any pressure, just kind of letting the little sanding pad, this is just a little foam sanding pad. You can probably buy it at Artist Club. It won't be exactly like this one. This is one that my husband had out in his workshop. Okay, I just want to make sure there's no dust on there. This particular piece is available on my website. My husband cut these for me. I think the next batch that I have him cut, I may have him cut the tab just a little bit, the hanging tab a little bit bigger for this size of ornament. Okay, I'm going to take my compass and I want to measure out for just a little. I think I'm going to have to make that a little bit bigger on this one, because this is such a big ornament. I want it to be a little bit wider. So I'm just erasing it with a white eraser. Nothing is set in the paint, so you don't have to worry about that. So I think I'm going to go just a little bit wider. And I'm just keeping this point on the edge here and letting it follow the shape of the ornament. And that looks a little narrow down there. I'm going to have to adjust that. I must have squeezed it in a little bit. And there we go. You have to keep it at the same angle that you started it at as well. So if I had it straight up and down on the other side, I had to have it straight up and down on this side. If I lean it back like that, it's going to create a different depth. Okay. Now I just want to erase this extra line down here. I'm using a eraser that's three-sided. It comes out like a pen. I got this on Patricia Rawlinson's website. This one that I used to begin with, I got at a art supply store. Hobby Lobby does not sell them. Michael's does not sell them. You have to go to like a art shop to get them that sells things for like college students for their art classes, their grafting classes and stuff. And this pops apart and you can get refills for it. So while you're buying one, you might as well just buy a refill. It will last you a long time and you'll always have it on hand if it, gets down where you can't use it. But it's a handy little eraser and then it folds in on itself. Okay, the next thing I want to do is tape off the edge where I want to paint my candy cane stripes. So I'm going to use this green stretchy tape. Now, I got this also on Patricia Rawlinson's website, but my son, who does automotive painting, says it's the same tape that they use for doing automotive detail work. So if you know somebody that works in that industry that maybe could get you some or tell you where they get theirs, but Patricia Rawlinson sells it in several different sizes. And it's a great must-have in your paint kit. So I'm going to start up here at the top, and I'm just going to, and it stretches, so you pull it and curve it and get it to go any direction that you need it to go. That's what's so cool about it, is because it's a stretchy tape. Follow your hole. Probably would have been better if I'd have torn off a piece. So I messed that up right there. I'm going to have to take that off. I'm just going to tear a piece off the roll. Just curving around that. Just pulling it as you go, because it's a stretchy tape. Now if you're a painter who has a very steady hand and you want to paint right along that line without putting tape down, you can surely do that. One more little piece here. Actually a couple pieces. I need to figure out where my topper up here is going to be, how it's going to look. So do it like that. Okay, and then we're going to put it over my line a little bit. I have to fix that. Okay, now we're going to base this in with white. Well, no, I think, let's see what I said. I have my instructions here. Let's see exactly how I did it. Now, on my instructions, I did not paint the candy cane in first. The stripes on the outside. But since this piece is different, I wanted to go ahead and put it on there this. I basted it with light buttermilk first. That's what I thought I did. So you can use a round brush or a small flat brush. And just fill in on this edge. All the way around and on the edge. Okay, so I got my first coat of buttermilk on. Just one coat of buttermilk is all you need. Now I'm putting a coat of Snow White on here. And I will put 2 coats of Snow White around this. And go around the thing there. And on the edges, I just wanted to give you a tip. That when you're doing the edges, and you get it on the back, just quickly wipe it off with your finger. The back is a solid color, so if you have to come and touch it up with your base coat color, that's not a problem. That's the one good thing about having a solid background, is that if you get something on it, you can touch it up at the end and clean up any edges that you need to. So I'm just going to finish putting on this first coat. I'm going to dry it, and then I'm going to get a second coat on. Okay, I'm going to go dry this first coat. Alright, I've got my 2 coats on the outside. Now we're going to add our stripes, and we're going to use Country Red. And I'm going to use, I normally use a round brush. I've got a small little flat brush here. I don't know. I'll see how that works. Okay. Excuse my dog barking. Now, it's up to you if you want to take your compass and mark off where you want your lines to be. I'm just going to throw them on here and hope they look right. So I know I'm going to be wrapping this way if I was wrapping ribbon around it. So I'm going to start this one. Lay this down so you can see it. I'm going to start this one here and try to space them evenly. And we'll come back and do a second coat on these. If you've got a good round brush, that will go out and make a flat brush. When you load it with paint, you can flatten it on your palette. Okay, let me picture this in my mind. Okay, I think I'm going the right direction. And we'll put 2 coats of this red on. Oops. And don't forget to go on your edges. This way. Okay, and I also want to do the edges. I want to make sure that I line up where I put it on top, on the edge. So I'm going to go around and do that and put my second coat on. Alright, I've got my 2 coats on, and now we're going to remove the tape off of here. So I'm just going to pull towards what I've painted. And I can see that one is a little wider up there in that corner. I didn't get my tape straight across there. So I'm going to touch that up with some blue. Alright, now I've got everything dry. I'm going to put my pattern on. So I'm just using light pressure. My graphite is fairly new, so I may have to go and erase a little bit. Now I'm not going to transfer the candy cane or the Jingle Bells. I originally had thought about putting a Christmas tree in his hand. I changed my mind on that, so that's why my pattern looks like that, but your pattern will not have that Christmas tree on it. I'm not going to transfer the belt yet, or the buckles on the shoes. Okay, that still came off pretty dark on there. So I think I'm going to take my eraser and erase that pattern back just a little bit. Just lighten it up. I'm just gently rubbing with this eraser, the side of the eraser. And I want to be able to see my lines, I just don't want them bold lines in case I can't erase them later. Because once you put paint on a graphite line, it's set in there. It becomes part of your piece and you can't get it off. Okay, I think I'm going to put this up on my painter's buddy. So that you can have a little better angle at it to see it a little closer. I'll have to adjust my camera here. So let me adjust my camera and I'll be right back. Alright, we're going to shade on our stripes out here real quick. And we're going to use Admiral Blue to do that. And when you shade, you need to have water droplets on your palette. So I just use a sprayer bottle that you find in the travel section at Walmart. I keep it full of water wherever I paint. I'm going to use, to float, I'm going to use one of these brushes. These are curved flat brushes. Let's see if I've got 3 different sizes here. A 6, a 10, and a 12. They're a great brush for floating. If you're someone who has difficulty with floating, you should get these brushes, because I don't know what it is about this particular brush, but it makes your floating so much easier. It makes it softer. So I would definitely invest in these brushes. You can buy them online, you can buy them at Michael's. So I highly, highly recommend investing in these brushes. So I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use the 6 to do this out here. I may end up going to a 10, but I'm going to try with a 6. Now, this is a pretty big area to float, So there's one of two things that you can do here. You can brush some extender on all the way around, or you can just use water. But when you use water, you can only do a section at a time because the water evaporates very quickly. But I don't want to have to worry about going and drying it when I'm done, so I'm going to put some water on here all along this edge. I'm dipping in my water and then tapping my brush off on the paper towel. Now to load my brush, I probably should have done the water after I loaded it, showed you how to load it, so I'll probably have to redo my water. I'm dipping the toe in. I've got water on my brush, I'm dipping the toe in, I'm just working it in back and forth like this to create a soft, if it's soft on here, it's going to be soft on my piece. So I'm going to start up here. Just work my way around the edge. I'm going to pick up the water droplets that I sprayed. I'm going to pick up teeny tiny water droplets when I need some. But having this damp first helps. Okay, now I'm going to dampen the next side here. Some paint on my toe. Pick up teeny tiny water droplets if you think you need it, but you've got water on here, so you may not need it. It's okay if we go out because we're going to shade on the other side of this, on the background area as well. Now the only thing about using a smaller brush, you have to go back to your paint more often. So when you see me away from the piece, I'm going to get more paint. That's why I like to use bigger brushes, because they hold more paint. Alright, loading my brush here. Keeping it soft, soft pressure. If you've got the right amount of paint, the right amount of water, and the right amount of pressure, all those things work together to create a really nice float. Okay, we're going to leave that there for now. And we're going to start painting in our Santa. I'll try to keep you on camera here. Okay. We're going to do his face first, and I did that in flesh tone. So I'm just going to use a small round brush. Number 1. Paint this in. Put a little bit where his mouth is going to be. Fuzzy spot there. Must be in the base coat. Can't get it out, so it's going to become part of my piece. And I just dug a hole in that because I was trying to get that little fuzzy piece out of there, but it's in there. It's not coming out. Okay, now you can see what I just did. I don't know how well that shows up on the camera. I dug a hole right in the center because I was trying to get that. Once you get your paint on there, you need to get out of it. Okay, I think I will paint in his boots and his gloves with black. We're not going to do the belt right now. I'm just going to keep using this same small brush here. Now I'm not going to worry too much if I don't get my lines exactly straight, because the background is a solid color and I can come in and touch up at the end on the background. Now, I didn't quite draw this boot on here right, so I'm going to adjust it. Hopefully I will adjust it properly. Mittens. I just thought I'm kind of big, so I'm going to have to make his hand part a little bit bigger. I have to make sure I adjust this one. Okay, and I'll come back and erase that line on this boot that I didn't use. And if it doesn't erase clean, then I can touch it up, but it did erase it. Very nice. Okay, his hat and his suit coat and his legs are all tomato red. I think I will use a number 4 round. I really like these round brushes that they're round. They're a round brush, but I can flatten them out to make them a flat brush when I stick them in the paint. I don't want my paint to be thick and cause ridges, so I add a little bit of water to it when I paint. I already know it's going to take 2 coats, so I might as well make them the smoothest coats that I can. Keep those ridges out of there. I just go over and suck up a couple of water drops on my brush. To adjust this side a little bit. There we go. See, I got out of line on that side. I think I'm gonna fatten him up on that side a little bit. Try and make his sides match. Okay, don't forget his legs. His skinny little legs. Alright, now we're going to paint his beard. And the front of his hat white. We'll need to come back and put 2 coats on all this. Don't forget his hair over here. Alright, I'm going to get the second coats on this and get it dry. And we'll come back and get ready to do some detail. Alright, my second base coat is dry. So I want to draw my belt on here. And I'm just going to freehand it. You can use the pattern and put it on if you want. So I'm going to make a buckle here in the center. And then my belt coming off of each side. And I'm going to put his little buckles here on his shoes. And I'm going to put a little dot for his eyes so we know where his eyes go. And then his nose goes right there. And I already know I'm going to have to erase that back a little bit on his nose because that's going to be way too dark. I'm going to start painting that in. Now I will make this, excuse me, I will make this straighter as I paint it in, and then I can come back and erase my graphite lines. I'm just drawing this in with a dressmaker's pencil, and I like to use them. This particular one came with 3 different colored leads, green, pink, and white. You can buy it at Joann's. I like to use them because the marks then will erase with water or paint. So that's a good tip to keep in mind. Okay, I'm going to get his belt in with black, and then his buckle is going to be cocoa, and the buckles on his shoes will be cocoa. bit of the belt shows through here in the middle. Okay, now his buckles are all cocoa, and we're going to go ahead and paint the, back on camera here, paint the holder on the top as well. So, cocoa, and it will take a couple of coats. And because we're going to be painting the holder on the back, we'll be painting it on the back as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw out some shape there so I know where I'm going with it. Okay, now on his buckles on his shoes, I want to, you can use a liner brush. I want to stay up on the toe of this, the tip of this brush, so I don't completely fill in my buckle. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit bigger brush for my part on the top. Try and keep this on camera for you here. Just going to do the edges over here. Okay, now I'll do the back. Oh, that was way too much paint, so I'm just going to take my finger and slide up against where I painted, just gently, and remove that. Okay. I want to put the second coat on the buckles. Then I'm going to erase my graphite lines. Around the belt. You can always tell if your paint is dry if it feels cool to the touch. Okay, now let's get those graphite lines erased around the belt. Okay, now we're ready to start doing some shading. And I'm going to start on the face. I'm going to use a little bit of cocoa. And I'm going to use my six curved flat. And I'm not going to have very much paint on here because his face is not very big at all. I want to go on each side. His face, and I may have to touch up on my white because this is such a small area, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'll go across the under the brim. Okay, I'm going to zoom you in a little bit closer so you can see. I'm going to go around his nose. I'm going to do the top part of his lip. The bottom part we're going to put some red on. I may go ahead and put just a little bit on the bottom of his nose. We're going to come back and put some red on his nose. So. Okay, now I want to take some tomato red. And you can use a liner for this if you want. I'm just going to use this angle brush, and I'm going to stay up on the toe here. And put some on his mouth. See, I already know I'm going to have to touch that white up a little bit, but if I can keep it off of there, that would be even better. I want to put a little bit on the bottom of his nose. My little cold nose. Okay, I want to do his eyes. I'm going to use my liner brush for that. And I use a 10-0 liner, a Lowell Cornell 10-0 liner. It's the script liner. It's got the long bristles. There you go. And when you use a liner, you generally have to have water in your paint. But because I'm just going to be putting some dots for some eyes, I'm just going to go straight in to thick paint. Okay, there's his little eyes. Now you can give him some eyebrows with black or with white, or you can have no eyebrows at all. Let's see, on my original, I did some little black eyebrows on there. So I guess I will do it the same. Now this time I am going to need some water because I need that to flow off of my brush nicely. Oh, that makes Santa almost look angry, doesn't it? It's a little angry face for Santa. He's probably disgusted by all those kids out there that are on the naughty list. Alright, very quickly I'm going to put my candy cane and my jingle bells over here. Now, you can use the pattern. I'm just going to draw in a candy cane here on his hand real quick. It doesn't seem like it wants to write on there, so I'll get my yellow one. That one doesn't want to write on there either. Never had that problem before. Ever. Use my regular chalk pencil here. So I'm just drawing in a candy cane. It's a bit longer here. And paint that white, and then a couple of jingle bells. I have one here, one here, and then the string will come connect. You'll only see the string on that one. Okay, his face is dry, so I'm going to take a little brush and pick up some red paint on it, and then I'm going to take it over to my paper towel and get pretty much all of it off. Because his cheeks are so small, I don't want to overwhelm them with a bunch of red. So I'm just going to tap that on there. I think I wiped off too much. So I'm just going to tap that in on his cheeks. Give him some rosy cheeks there. And then I want to, with a little bit of light buttermilk, I'm going to put a highlight on his nose. Now you can do this with a liner brush and just put a little line on there if you want. Okay, I think I might put a little bit on this. Might be too fat. I think I'm going to do his mouth one more time. Brighten it up. Sure, I got you on camera. Okay, let me touch up this white here real quick on his mustache. And while we've got the white on our brush, we might as well go ahead and paint in our candy cane. I'm just using a 4 round Winsor Newton. Okay, we'll let that dry. It will take a couple of coats on that candy cane. Go over and do the Jingle Bells. Oh, I didn't get all the water out of my brush. You can see all that water setting right there on that color. Should be a nice shade of color like that, but it's watered down. So that will have to dry a little bit before I can put a second coat on it. And the white is dry, so I'm going to go ahead and put the second coat on my candy cane. I want to create some stripes on my candy cane. With the red, I'm going to use a 1 round, but you can use a liner, whatever you feel most comfortable using. And I like to start at the bottom of the candy cane. Alright, and on the candy cane I want to shade with a little bit of Admiral Blue, using that number 6 curved flat, keeping it very tight on the toe. We don't want it to overwhelm the candy cane. Soft. I don't really want it to look like it's outlined. That one kind of does. A little bit of graphite line right there I want to erase. It's kind of bugging me. Okay, then I want to use my liner. Wrong way, sorry. And put a highlight down candy cane. That candy cane is done. Let's see. Let me get a second little coat there on that other Jingle Bell. Okay, let those dry. Now while that's drying, I am going to add shading on the hat and coat. Soft black. I am going to go up in size for shading. I'm going to use a 10 curved flat. Okay. Water in my brush. Putting it just on the toe, working it in. This brush is getting kind of worn. I think it's about time to replace this one. We'll see. Excuse me. We'll see what kind of float I can get out of it. Okay, we're going to do the top of the hat. I've got a little mop brush here. Just going to soften that in the water area and just gently work over to the paint. Just kind of blend that. Then to clean your mop brush, you go to a wet spot on your paper towel, clean it off, and then go to a dry spot and dry it off. You don't want to put it in the water because they take a little while to dry. And mop brushes are very easy to clean. Unless you've got a ton of paint on it, a wet spot on the paper towel is all you need to clean it. Okay, we're going to go down each side. And the other side. I'm using light pressure when I brush my float. That creates a softer float. I'm going to go under. You know what? I'm going to go to the small one for these smaller areas, number 6. Because that's such a small, tight area. I want to go under. Got too much water. So let me put that on a dry spot. I think I put it on a wet spot on my paper towel and it soaked up more water instead of releasing water. Okay, I want to go under this. I want to do next to the boot. So it's not going to leave much of the leg that's not shaded. And I want to do the underneath part of both arms. Now I want to do up here on the hat. That's dry now. Alright, get my mop brush. I want to soften that. Mop brush will lose some little hairs every now and then. Not a big deal. Just brush them off of there. Okay, I want to go get you back on camera here. I apologize if I get off of the camera view. under his beard. Okay, I want to go below his belt. And above his belt. I want to go, I'm going to switch to the smaller curved flat, the number 6. And I want to do a little bit on the buckle. It's on camera here. Sorry about that. And I'm not going to worry about those down there, but I do want to do the bells. I've got outline there. I'm not going to worry because I can come back and touch that up. Okay, I want to create on the bell the sections of the bell. So I'm going to, that is just far too wide a float there. So I washed the paint out of my brush and I just have water in it now, cleaning that up. And I want to do this one. Are you on camera? Of course not. Alright, let me do that again. Right here I want to do on this one. Okay, I'm going to turn it around and do one underneath it. And I want to put a highlight with some buttermilk on those bells down that center. I have to go back and shade under that one. It's not defined enough for me. Now you can use your liner brush to do this as well. Okay. I want to highlight on the top of the belts with some light buttermilk. Creating that roundness there. I want to add our holes in our bells. You can use a liner brush. I'm using a small round here, which might be a little bit too big. Alright, let me take that off. I think that's way too big. I'm going to use my liner brush. I will if I can pick it up. Okay, let's try this again. Hook up here. And then I want to do my string that connects them. And I'm going to go ahead and erase this graphite line because I know where my string needs to go. I'm going to create that with some light buttermilk and some cocoa. I want to mix them together. I don't want it to be as dark as the cocoa, but I don't want it to be as light as the buttermilk either. Just join them. touch up that little spot on the hand right there. Okay, now I want to shade on the hat. And I'm going to use winter blue, and we're also going to use this for the mustache and the beard. Boy, that Santa just looks so angry. Goodness. He's a grouchy little Santa, I think. But I'm not going to worry about going back and adjusting his eyebrows. They're on there. Okay, I'll do the bottom of the hat ball. I'm going to do and above his mustache. I'm going to do under the mustache, under the mouth. Don't forget right here on his fur. A little graphite line right there I need to erase. Okay, and then I'm going to take that same blue with my liner brush and thin the paint down a little bit with some water. And I'm going to create some little squiggles in his beard. I don't want them to be real. And a few on his mustache. I still need to shade his mustache where it comes together under his nose. I want to make sure I have all the water out of my 6 curved flat. And I don't want to put it on his nose. I'm just going to make a little C stroke right there on this side. And turn it over, make a C stroke on this side. Kind of want them to meet a little bit. Oops. Okay, now I want to do a quick little highlight on the hat. And I think the very edge here and the top of the arms, and I'm going to use some light buttermilk. Could use coral blush if you want. I don't want this to be real dark, so I want to make sure or real bright, I guess I should say. And I'm sure that probably looks pretty bright on the camera. But we're going to add some glamour dust on there in a minute. A little bit in the middle of his legs. Okay. We want to shade around the outside here. We're going to do that with Admiral Blue. And again, you can wet it with some water prior to the paint going on. So let me get my brush. Let me wet this. Okay, I'm going to start down here. Keep your mop brush handy in case you need it. I got over on my stripes, and I really did not want to do that, so I'm just taking the water edge of the brush and cleaning that up. Mop if you need to. Okay, that's still got a little water there, so I'll see if we can still work with it. I'm going to go from this way. Mop where those two are meeting, because I don't want it to be a hard line. Dampen this. I just touched it with my finger to take some of that water back off of there. Put a little bit too much on there with my brush. I didn't want it to be floating across the whole piece there. Okay, I'm going to mop where those two are meeting. You can't cut through a wet mop or a wet float, because it will just remove it and you'll have to do it all over again. So it's better to make sure that it's dry before you go on. So it's better to do two opposite sides and then come back and do the other two opposite sides. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Now before we start putting our sparkly glitter stuff on, I want to get my words on there. And I just wrote them on by hand. You can use the pattern and put them on. Jingle bells. So I can make my decisions on where it goes. I purposely put this Santa down lower because I think I want to put jingle bells in the corners. So if you're unsure of making a straight line, use your compass. I do not know why this isn't there. We go. So I'm just kind of drawing a line where I want my words to be. I don't think I want them to be quite that curved, but it kind of gives me an idea. I want jingle bells. So we'll see how it goes. I forgot that I messed up the tip of this pen, and I got it against something rough and that messed up the tip on it. I need to replace it. Okay, and so bells, oh goodness. really happy with how that pen marked. I am going to have to get rid of that pen completely. Okay. Let's get some glitter on here. We're going to use ice crystals, gold glitz, and sizzling red glamour dust paints. And we are going to use some white glitter, sparkly white glitter, and this bottle. Now I want to tell you about this bottle a little bit. This is a set of 3 bottles that I bought at Hobby Lobby. They come with the tips, so you just take the lid off and you screw the tip onto it, and then I put a piece of tape on it because this one has glue in it. My other 2 that were out of that package, one has a sugar cane sparkly paint, and this one has my blue glitter paint. But I want to make sure no air gets in there, so I put tape over the tip after I used it. I don't want anything to dry in the tip or air to get in there and ruin it. So we'll be using this after we get our glamour dust on. So we're going to put glamour dust red on the coat and the hat, not on the legs. And it will probably take 2 coats to give it that extra sparkle. So I want to do this and get it completely done. Get it completely dry, I guess I should say. Make sure you get out to all your edges. You don't want to leave any places that's not covered. That's why we're going to do a second coat, because we want to make sure that we don't miss any places when we put our first coat on, and the second coat will help us take care of that. This is just going to sparkle him up. I love this glamour dust paint, but I also like using the decoupage medium, which you can use the Americana brand, or you can just use Mod Podge. You could probably just use regular glue like we used to use in school. I don't know if they still use that or if they use glue sticks now. As long as it's some kind of glue. Okay, I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll be able to tell where I missed any place. I want to put the gold glitz glamour dust on the buckles and the bells and the top up here, which that top, real quickly before I do that, I want to put a little bit of soft black on there. I want to shade that just a little bit. I had too much paint on my brush, so I just touched it to my paper towel to get a little bit of that off. I want to do the edges. Just defines the hanger a little bit. And when I get to the back, I'll have to do the back as well. And I'll put a little bit on the edges. Okay. So let's go into that gold glitz. I'm going to put it on the belts. This bell needed an extra shading on it, but I've got the glitz on it now, so it's too late. The buckle. The buckles on the shoes. We'll use a little bit bigger brush and do it on the hanger as well. We want our hanger to have some sparkle. To your edges. And to the back. Now we want to use the ice crystal, and we're going to put that on the beard, the mustache, and the hat, and the ball, the hat trim, and the ball, and the trim on his sleeves. Now we're going to come back and add some dimensional glitter to this when it's dry. But I do want to make sure that it is dry. Hit that with a blow dryer so we can get a second coat on it. Alright, there's one highlight I see I forgot to do. I've already painted onto his hands with the candy cane. But we need to put a highlight on the boots and the hat. Or not the hat, the hands and the belt. So I'm using our background color, which is winter blue. And I'm going to put it on the toe of the boot. And across the top up here. It does need to be on his mittens, so we'll get it on there the best we can since I've already painted that on there. Still not a problem. Okay, and then on the belt, I just want to do a little bit down the center. Just a little streaking down the center there. Okay, so I'm going to get my second coat on my bells and my buckles. I got the second coat on the red. And up here on my hanger. And I'm going to dry that, and I need to make sure it's completely dry. And then we're going to sprinkle some glitter on it. Okay. I'm going to go get it dry, and then we are going to do the glitter. Alright, before we finish the front, I want to get the lettering painted on the back. So I've already transferred it on here. And I'm just going to use a round brush, tomato red. I'm using a number 4 because I can flatten it out or come up on the tip nicely. So I'm just going to paint in my lettering. This brush has a little bit of a ragged edge here. Goodness. I've got my graphite lines on a little bit too dark. I'm going to have to erase those back a little bit. I'm going to put glitter on top of this after I paint it, but I don't want to have to do 2 coats of red. I'm getting pressure there. I'm coming up on the toe. I'm on the toe. Pressure up on the toe. When you do line work or lettering, you have to have some water in your brush. So I've got to come across. Pressure. Tip. Pressure. Okay. You can go back and do 2 coats, but I think 1 coat will be enough since we're going to put glitter on it. Okay. Now we're going to move around to the front. Make sure that's dry. And we're going to do our glitter. So I'm going to take it off of the painter's buddy here. I'm going to move my glitter tray over. On the back we will do red glitter, an ultrafine glitter, and on the white. On the front we're just going to do white. So I want to make sure my glitter tray is free of glitter before I start. So I'm going to wipe it out with a paper towel. And any excess glitter off of it. A good tip for glitter when you need to pick it up off of your painting surface is to use a Swiffer cleaner, Swiffer dust rag, and it will pick it right up off of there. Okay, let me zoom you in here a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Get you in focus. Camera. Okay, so I'm taking this bottle of glue and I'm going to squiggle it on the hat, a little bit on the ball. some lines in his mustache, some in his beard, some glue there, and there. Now I'm going to take my white glitter, and I like this glitter. I think I bought it at either Michael's or Hobby Lobby, I'm not sure. I'm going to lay my Santa in my glitter tray that catches all my excess glitter, and I'm just going to shake this on there where I have my glue. Okay. I'm going to tap down, and there you go, some raised sparkly area, and all this glitter that's out here, when it's completely dry, just take a dry brush and brush that off of there. I don't want to do it while the glue is wet, because I don't want to accidentally get into that glue. So that gives you that little bit of raised sparkle on there. Really cute Santa, isn't he? And even here on the red, where some of it got, you'll be able to brush that off because your red is already dry. Alright, I'm going to get this dry, and then we're going to go finish up the back. Alright, I've got the front of it dry. He's looking pretty glittery. I just love this little Santa. Alright, now we are going to do the back. So I'm just going to do this, basically the same thing that I did on the front. I'm going to use my glue, outline my letters, or fill in my letters. Piece of tape on that so it doesn't start drying in the bottle. Now we're going to glitter. So, all these glitter bottles that I bought, now this particular one is a Martha Stewart. They had a whole different assortment of colors, package of hers on clearance at Michael's one time, and so I scooped it up. They all have little shakers on them, which make it really, really, really nice for putting your glitter on. I just completely cover that. And I tap it down in there, and then when it dries, all the excess glitter that is on the outside, I'll get you a shot here, I can just brush off with the brush. Okay. Now, you can still seal this even after you put all that glitter and stuff on. I would recommend maybe sealing it before you add the glitter, and that way the glitter lays on top of the piece. So there you have the front and the back. A very cute Christmas ornament to make for your next year's Christmas project.